MaaS CAV is designed to look at how we would look at transport in the future. So MaaS CAV is about identifying routes and ways of transporting people around. In about 5-10 years' time, we are going to run out of transport capacity. So we need to now establish different ideas and different methods of mobility. And MaaS CAV is a project set up to look at this new and exciting area that's developing.
So the idea of CAV vehicles is that by bringing those into existing portfolios of transport systems, so not necessarily replacing one for one with the bus or the train, but having them as an additional mode of transport, it allows people to be able to go from place to place in a way that it goes beyond the existing public transport. If you think of Ubers, but without a driver, or if you think of shuttles that are taking people from one location to another, but will pick them up en route and go to almost to their house. So effectively you have a service that is tailor-made for the individual for the journey that they want to make, but that doesn't exclude the other forms of transport. So mobility as a service is basically the bringing together of planning a journey, booking a journey, and paying for that journey in a common platform. So generally we're talking about apps on your phone or your computer. And the idea is that a MaaS product or solution or platform allows people to have a choice of which mode of transport they want to use to go from A to B.
When the opportunity came through federal government and CAV funding to look at the future of CAVs into the region, we had a meeting with the key organizations such as RACE, Places Catapult, to see how this promised future of integrated mobility, autonomous vehicles, can be delivered in a way that benefits all. We were successful in the application, and now we have got a very varied and extended response on what is needed from transport planning, engagement for infrastructure, and how to generalize in other regions.
In looking at the sites, we started out looking at a number of sites across Oxfordshire. So we looked at Bicester for final solution, but we also looked at Oxford City, we looked at Cullen, we looked at Didcot, and we looked at Hanborough.
So Bicester was selected because it has railway stations. There are loads of car journeys every day into Bicester. There's lots of congestion on the roads, and there seems to be no real way out of that with the expanding residential infrastructure that's being built right now.
We have more visitors now to Bicester Village than just about any other UK attraction. So the growth in Bicester and the challenges in Bicester for mobility are probably very significant, and if we can solve the challenges that we've got in Bicester, then they're replicable in just about any town or city around the country.
One of the important things for this project was to understand what the general public want out of their transport, and whether such an idea as autonomous vehicles and an autonomous vehicle service would actually have acceptance. What I found interesting was that while there is a great deal of interest in using these kinds of services that can pick you up where you are and take you to where you want to be, there's a whole attitudinal, I would say, problem in that people want to use their car. They don't see the alternatives that are available now, and therefore don't even think that there are alternatives. So using the car is seen as the default way of getting from A to B, whereas in fact, do you actually need a second car if there are these types of services?
So we looked at people's trip, how people were travelling in Bicester based on outputs of an existing transport model, and what impact this new transport proposition could have. Would it save them time? Would they save them money?
And what we started looking at is what do we need in order to have a viable scheme. So yes, you actually need to have some sort of mobility hub, somewhere you can change the vehicle you're travelling in. That means a train station.
We tested the MaaS CAV solution. Essentially, we wanted to address the first last mile from rail stations. It is key for kind of mass transit to remain key of the transport system and all the transport services to be integrated. we tested 2 different service propositions. So one which is an on-demand 15-seater shuttle bus. The other service we tested was a 2 to 4-seater pod. So obviously more premium, less capacity. We defined kind of CAV-friendly routes in Bicester and CAV-friendly criteria. So within MaaS CAV we proposed a gradual and stage routing approach. So where these new services would be initially deployed along a specific route, and gradually increasing those routes along which they can operate and serve. The results were, in terms of demand, were quite promising. So a significant number of people shifted to these new services across the different scenario. Up to the MaaS CAV proposition captured up to 25% of those trips from and to stations connecting the rest of the town.
We do all things necessary to ensure compliance with regulation, but also to ensure that the trial goes ahead safely. To us, it's all about measuring the risk, mitigating the risk, and then saying, is what's left acceptable? And the argument here is that after 3 years of safe driving around our roads with no accidents, that we think you can make the case for it. The biggest benefit from CAV is they will make the roads safer. The biggest challenge is proving that they're safer.
The reality is that you can't replace it all overnight. It's going to take some time. There's some behavioural change that needs to happen in society to start thinking in a different way. This really is around how do we integrate these new ideas, business models and technologies into what already exists and start, I guess, maybe phasing out older ways of doing things once people are comfortable. So I think the key thing is there's got to be a lot of trust in what new technology is going to do for an individual. So we need to just consider how we can show it fits in in people's lifestyles as it is today, and then moving towards actually them getting used to that new way of travelling, using an integrated app maybe, which has maybe all the options available to them so they can make that choice.
If we look 20 years ahead, there is no way we can carry on as we are with the standard mobility solutions. They just won't be fit for purpose in 20 years' time. We have to start looking now at what the solutions might be that will be suitable for us as a community in 20 years' time. And MaaS CAV is set up to try and identify the pathway to go from where we are today to a more autonomous and a better mobility solution.